Hello and welcome to another scrapbooking process video. This is another pocket process and I'm Tracy, also known as MercyTiara, and I make scrapbooking process videos and more on my channel. Today I am still narrating some older videos, so this one was scrapped back in late December, but it covers early December of 2025. And this one is a long one. I thought about dividing it up into two separate videos, but you know what? I don't like watching two-part videos. I always find it hard to find the second part, and I don't know, I didn't want to break it up. So here it is all in one piece. You can watch it in two different settings if you want, or you could try speeding it up if it's a little bit too long. I'm from the East Coast of Canada. We're pretty relaxed, and I think that relative to other people, my speaking voice is probably slower than most. So you could probably understand this fine if you sped it up. I'm starting as usual by setting out my photos. I have them printed at 4x6 for any ones that are either a good quality photo or that has big impact or that I want to tell a significant story. There's only two of those on this page so far. I'm just showing that I'm using these stamp sleeves because I do have two inserts, two items to insert in between this page. These are Christmas cards that we got from our friends in Germany, and I want to be able to take them out and look at what was written on the backs of them, so I'm just going to put them in that. I did this in my very last video, so you might have seen that. I also have a few pieces of ephemera. Some will make it into the project and some will not. But as I was saying, I print up some of my photos in 4x6, especially if they're horizontal and significant stories or nice photos. I also print in 3x4 if they're vertical and significant photos. And then smaller photos that either are less important or just aren't as nice, the quality isn't as good, I print in 2x3. So I usually go through and print up all of the photos for that 2-week period. So I scrap 2 weeks across one spread, resulting in 2 spreads per month. And I just generally break it into early the month and late the month. And so it doesn't have to be perfect. So the second thing that I do after I set all my photos out, and if you see me layering more than one photo in one slot, it's because I'm planning to do a flip. This project in particular has a lot of flips, and some are triple flips, and there's just a lot going on here, which is why the video is so long. My second step is to put cards behind the photos that need cards behind them. Sometimes a photo will fill the whole pocket, but if it doesn't, I need to pick out a card. And I'm working with the Ali Edwards Stories by the Month kit, and the December version of that. I'm also live streaming while I do it with my tiaras over on Patreon, so you might see some comments pop up and you see that clock. That's just me timing myself because I check in on the Discord server and chat with people and take a look at what they're working on. It's really fun to see other people's scrapbooking projects as I'm working on mine, and also to get feedback and input. Sometimes Patreons have fun ideas that I try out on my page, and I think my page is better for the community of tiaras that we have scrapping along with me. So if you see that timer, it's because it reminds me to stop, because sometimes I get in the flow and I forget to stop. And I do cut those parts out. So you won't see the actual chatting and photos from their projects. But maybe someday you will, because I was thinking it might be fun for me to show you, the YouTube viewers, their projects as well. So keep an eye out for that. I'm starting here with this number 12, which I want to be my title card. I like to put at least, as I mentioned, I do 2 pages per month. I like for at least one of them to have in the top left 4x6 pocket. I like it to have a date indicator of the month. And so this is what I'm making here. I just took this 3x4 inch number 12 on vellum. I added a stamped December. And I'm going to put winter on this photo here. I wasn't sure. I guess I wasn't sure which one I'd use, or maybe I planned the whole time. I don't know. I'm narrating this too long after, so I can't quite remember. But I do really love those stamps from the Ellie Studio stamp set that I used there. So I am putting that 12 marker card in a 4x6 pocket, even though it's 3x4. So I need a companion 3x4 to go beside it to fill up the space. So I decided to use this one. This is actually a weather shot photo. So you can't see it very easily because it's white on a mostly white photo, but it does say Halifax. Greetings from Halifax, feels 15, feels minus 15. And there's some data in there that I can't quite read. Not from the angle I'm at right now, anyways. So that takes care of the top pocket, and now I'm moving on to the top right-hand pocket on the same page. And I have this moody shot of my scrap room. I really love this moody shot of my scrap room. This is what it looks like when I scrap or work in the evening. I do work in this space, and I have a couple of things I do to make my background not be distracting for my work clients. I'm a psychologist, so I do some virtual sessions in the evenings, and I love my cozy space in the evenings. And so I'm just spelling out the word here. These are the letter stickers that came in the kit, spelling out cozy crafting. And I want the words to fall exactly in that dark space under my desk. That's where my legs go when I'm crafting or working. And in this case, my desk is filled with scrapbooking supplies. And so I must have been crafting here, probably doing some journaling. At that point, I was doing a lot of journaling I was using Hubman and Chub Girl products. Now there's that little space before the word cozy that I wanted to fill up. So I just put a little asterisk there, and this one is done. So now let's work on this page. On this card, we have a photo of food. And at first I was going to put it on that card with little asterisks. It's actually a vellum card, but I also have this little set of Let's Eat cards from Ellie's Studio. Ellie's Studio. And I love these data cards. And I love the idea of repeating the same design of card all through the year. So I think there's 10 in this little pocket. So that's plenty of opportunities for me to document what we've been eating. I could use almost one every month. And so what I did here was I actually reprinted that photo because it wasn't quite the right size. And I decided to do it even smaller than this. So I'm measuring it again. And then whenever you see my keyboard out, it's usually a sign that I'm reprinting a photo. So I'm just measuring that size. And I'll tell you what size I ended up printing it at. It is 1.5 by, let's see, it's hard to get my ruler this way, by, it looks like 0.75. And that photo fits perfectly in there. It is very tiny, but you can get the gist of what it is. There's bread showing and potato and meat and vegetables. It looks really yummy. It's one of my favorite things that HelloFresh gives us, which is Irish stew. It's one of my favorites. Probably a lot of sodium in that. It is delicious. A little bit too delicious to be healthy, to be honest. I'm going to color in all 5 stars where it says rated, and I'm just using my Indanthrene Blue Stettler pen. Oh no, it's a Faber-Castell Pitt pen. It's not a Stettler. So I'll just glue the photo in place right there under details. And then I'm filling out the cards. I said Irish stew. I'm going to put the date, which is December 6th, 2025. The place is home. It's dinner. And it's cooked at home. So you've got lots of options to click off there to put little check boxes on. So then that card is done. Oops, I'm just going to write out home, I guess. There we go. Now, the card right beside it is a photo of my new pen. We got new promotional pens at Sunnyside. And so I'm just going to, there are all these little labels that say a tiny December moment. So I'm just going to staple that onto the top, and that's about it. It's in my actual physical office at work. It seems like it wasn't trimmed to the right size, so I just took a 3x4 inch card. I just keep these on hand. They are actually halves of 4x6 cards that I get from Amazon. They're very inexpensive, thin, flimsy cards, but they're really great for using as just extra scraps and to mat things and that sort of thing. Good to have small pieces of paper on hand. So this is a photo of Scott with Karma the cat on the couch. Karma does not sit with people very often, so we always take her picture when she does. I matted that on the vellum card with the candy cane stripes, added the roller date stamp with the date, and that one is all that we need. Now, this is a photo that I got from Sophie's Instagram stories. It's a picture of her and her friends on the first big snow day at St. FX, which is the university she's going to. And the school was canceled, and they all went out in their pajama pants and ski jackets and played in the snow. So I just grabbed that off of Instagram. I just grabbed a screenshot. I'll add a little label here just to give myself space for a caption. And I'm going to write on it, first major snowfall is St. FX, STFX, which we sometimes affectionately called Stiffix. It's the university that my husband went to, and it's a very, very, very social university with a very strong school spirit. If you've ever met anybody from St. FX, you know what I mean. So I am taking this other photo of our other cat, Chloe, looking out the window. She loves to watch light snowfall. It's one of her favorite things. So she's sitting there at the door, looking out onto our back deck, and very contemplative photo. I love this photo of Chloe, and I feel like I've got multiple of this photo over the years because she sits there often. I'm taking another one of those tiny December moment labels, and I'm going to layer it with one of the asterisks that also came in the kit. And I'm placing the whole thing. It's going to go in a 4x6 pouch and a 4x6 pocket, even though it's a 3x4 inch photo. And so I've got that vellum on the other side, that hopeful vellum that came in the kit. It's a 4x6 vellum. And I'm going to find another die cut. So I'm going to go with this round one that says December Thoughts with a little wreath. I'm going to glue that in place, but then I'm also going to staple it in place. Lots of staples on this page, on this spread in general. And then I'm actually going to, it says December Thoughts. I'm going to cross out the Thoughts part, and I'm going to grab a red pen, and I'm going to write in purrs in place of thoughts. So there's the close-up on that one. This left side often comes together much, much quicker than the right side because there are no openings in these pockets. And so you're really limited. I mean, you can do flips on this side, but it's a little bit more of a hassle. So I tend to keep all my flips on the other side. So when we get to the other page, it's going to get really crafty really quick. So in the meantime, I'm taking this seriously. What is this called? Acetate, I think. Yeah, it's a piece of acetate from an older Ali Edwards kit. And I'm just looking at what all the words are there because I want to make sure I'm grabbing the most relevant word to make a cute little, I don't know, I'm just looking at what I've got here and thinking about what I could do creatively with it. So I'm going to use seriously. I just want to put something on this big, when I took this photo, I left this space purposely. I wanted the tree in the background and the carpet in the foreground with Karma. And I thought I would put something beside her there on the carpet. So the word seriously is going to work out well there. In that little zipper pouch that says MercyTiara Kits, that holds all of my cat-related supplies. I actually don't have many. Surprisingly, since I do have 5 cats, these are my only cat supplies. Strange, huh? So yeah, I took this little cut apart. This was from a digital kit. I think it was an Ali Edwards digital kit with those pink little phrases. I printed it up onto sticker paper, and now I have a non-digital element. It says perfect. And so I thought seriously perfect was a good little phrase there. I'm going to, oh yes, I already stapled the seriously in place, and I really love how that looks. So I would say that page is done. So now let's move on to the right-hand page. We've got a lot to do over here. So let's start. I like to start with the ideas that are fully formed already. So I knew I wanted to take this series of 3 photos of our international daughter, Annabelle, who lives in Germany. She lived with us for a year and has become a dear member of our family since then. We're good friends with her parents, and yeah, so she was featured on some companies. I don't know what exactly it was. It's a company that advertises for international students. She was featured on that in a series of, like, I guess an Instagram reel or carousel or something like that. And so what you see me doing here is I'm just adding some magnets to this so that it will stay closed. These are tinier magnets than what I usually use, but I think it's going to work anyways because this card is pretty light. It doesn't have too many layers. But what makes this one a pretty straightforward one, even though it's a flip, is that these 3 photos are almost 3x4 in size. They're a little bit narrower because they're screenshots. Now see how that is. I'm not sure that that's going to hold properly. And I suspect I'm going to replace one of those magnets, or do I? No, I guess I'm going to leave it. Yeah, so it's just slap the photo on each of those 3 surfaces and you're good to go. So that started off as an 8x3" strip of cardstock. I have these on hand because I used to get Kelly Perky kits that included 6x8 papers, like very thick papers that are really great for these flips. And I often cut them down into halves so that I can do a 3x4" flip with it instead of a 4x6" flip. Now I would like to take a tab punch, and I wanted to use a piece of paper that was too small for me to hold on to. So I just added a little holder for my paper so that I could hang on to it while I punched it with that tab punch. And I'd like to put something on this tab. I specifically chose a paper that almost matches it perfectly with the background paper. I added a little star sticker to it and some staples, and that's it for this one. The captions on the photos kind of tell the story for me. It says, physically, I'm in Germany, and then it shows a plane, and it says, but mentally, and then the third photo says, mentally, I'm still living my dream on the other side of the world. And it shows a picture of her at our place in the snow. Next, I'm doing another flip about our litter hopper. We got a robot litter box. And it was a big decision that we had been thinking about for a long time. We have 5 cats, so it's kind of life-changing to have a litter robot. And yeah, we were thinking about it for a long time, saving for a long time, and we took advantage of I think it was a Black Friday sale or something. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. So we'll put a magnet in this one too so that it doesn't flip around too much as I turn the pages of this album. So another 8x3" strip of paper there that I already cut down from something else another time. I'm going to trim this down so that it fits better on this. And that's a photo of the litter hopper completed. We don't keep it in our living room. It's in the little nook between our living room and dining room, but we just kept it there to make sure. We had to watch and make sure that the cats were all using it before we put it in its proper place in the basement. So there I'm just attaching the magnet to the top, and then I'm going to cover that magnet with something. I just haven't decided what yet. So I want to be able, that paper, it looks white from at least my screen, it looks white, but it's actually white with little tiny blue dots on it. And the dots give you lines that makes it easy to draw, to do some journaling on. So that's what I'm thinking about doing. I am going to use a different tab punch for this one. Sometimes I like to go with the same tabs for the whole page, and other times I mix it up. Here I'm mixing it up apparently. So I took a piece of craft paper and punched that Stampin' Up! Circle tab punch. I've been really liking that one. I use it a lot lately, and I thought I might be able to pull out one of my other punches to coordinate with it, and lo and behold, I think it's a 1/2 inch punch or a 1/4 inch punch. Yeah, it's a 1/4 inch punch, that green one. That one happens to fit perfectly in, like, I shouldn't say perfectly, there's like a little tiny edge around. You can see the craft paper around it. It's very slightly matted. I wish it was matted a little bit more, but it does look really cute. So I'm just grabbing some real red cardstock there from my stash, and I'm going to put a red circle on both of those tabs, the front and the back part of the tab. Then I'm grabbing my Lawn Fawn stamp set. This is a stamp set, I think it's called Push Pull, and it has all sorts of different phrases about opening flaps and lifting and pulling and interacting with things. So here's where I think that this might be the first time I try to do this. So I'm working out what needs to be done here. I didn't realize that I would want to stamp a circle stamp. And so it's much easier to stamp your circle on the paper and then punch it out than it is to do it the other way around. So I just pulled out that same piece of paper again. You saw what I did. I stamped the circle, I stamped the Open Me, and I'm going to just punch those out. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to hang on to 2 of them for another flip, because I know I'm doing lots of flips here. So I thought I'd put Open Me on one side, and I just have to decide which way it's going to go. So I'm going to put it upside down because I'm going to put that on the back side. Then the other one, I didn't put the Open Me on. I'm going to stamp something different on the back side of it because at that point it's already open. So you don't really need to say Open Me, right? I don't know what it says on the back side of it. I'm looking at it now and I can't tell. It looks like it says Gret New, but I don't think that's what it says. That doesn't make any sense. Gret New. I don't know what it says. Brand new? No, it's a GRE something. Anyways. Here I am making a little embellishment to put at the top, and this is what's going to cover the magnet. So I stamped from that 6x8 inch stamp set from Ellie's Studio. It's one of the Noted series. I think they've got 5 or 6 of those, and I have 3 or 4 of them. So I'm just taking that one. I really love that label because it's got a little bit of interest in it. It's got that little extra arrow, and then you can put a word in it. I put the word currently in the gap of that arrow. I thought that was pretty cool. I have this day off stamp set also from Ellie's Studio. I think it's from Ellie's Studio. Yeah, it is. And it says, I'm stamping today's the day, put this off for too long. And so, yeah, I thought that was very, very relevant to the story here because we wanted this litter box a long time, we've been watching it for several years. And so it was nice to be able to get it. So I'm just going to layer both the tab that will help you open this and the label. The tab itself wasn't going to cover the magnet enough, so I needed something else to go here. Here's what I'm putting. It seems like, I bet it says Great News. Yeah, I think it says Great News because I took it from the news stamp set. So there we go. Now I have that space and I will put some lines on them. And I'm not sure, I keep deciding, am I going to stamp the lines or am I going to draw the lines? I have this set of lines from another one of those Noted stamp sets from Ellie's Studio. And I'm going to stamp them in not black, but this very, very dark blue. It's called Misty Moon Light, Misty Moonlight from Stampin' Up. I mean, I'm looking at it right now and it looks practically black, but it's technically not. And that's probably my favorite set of lines. It fits so perfectly in a 3x4-inch space, and it has that space above for a title and, you know, extra embellishment. So it just really works well. I'm writing, we decided back in February to get a litter robot this year. Black Friday sales made it doable, so we get one before Christmas. Much less scooping for us. So then that one is done. Now let's work on this top one, which is actually going to move. Yeah, it's not right. So this is something I'm going to do and not like, but I'm going to include it in the process because I do like to show my whole process. So I have this half and half. It's a piece of vellum, half green, half like a creamy color, or maybe a craft color, you might say. Anyhow, I am going to make this entire card, and then later on I'm going to throw it away and do something completely different here. I really like what I end up doing instead. So yeah, I'm just going to show you my thought process on this. So I'm trimming down these photos. These are printed up at 2x3, and so I wanted to have a series of them, and I wanted it to open and show like all of the different steps in putting this together. It's not done. It's still not done, actually. It's several months later, and I'm still not finished it, but it's something Scott and I are working together, and it's a bit of a labor of love, and we're trying to spread it out. It's an expensive Lego set, and so we're trying to spread it out. We figure if we can get it done in 6 months or so, that's not so bad, right? So anyhow, what I'm doing here is you saw me going through all of my papers that are 6x8, and all of those are mostly Kelly Perky. Some of them are Ali Edwards. And I found one. I really like the stripes, and I like how these very subtle stripes look really great under the vellum. This is perfect use of vellum, right? Like it looks amazing. This part of it I really, really like, and I wish I had done something different here and was able to still use that vellum piece. But I'm gonna do something that I don't like with the vellum that's gonna render it, well, not useless. It would have been fine as it was, but I'm gonna fix it later. So my thought is that these two photos of day one, so I did an Instagram post of this Lego set, and so I've got already captions on there that say day one. A couple of them say day one, and a couple of them say day two. It's early on in the process. Right now we're probably at like day 6 or 7 of working on it. So I'm picking out these letter stickers they're not letter stickers, these letter stamps that spell out Lego. And this is a set from Ellie's studio. It is called the Benjamin stamp set. And as you can see, it comes in a couple of different sizes. I only have one size, but I have the solid letters and I also have the outline of the letters. And I also have the dies that go along with this. So after I stamp these out, I could, if I wanted to, stamp an outline on it in black. That would look kind of cool, but I thought it would be a little bit much. So here I go. I'm going to start to think about doing that, but I was going to do it in dark blue. So I'm going to sample it right there. I really love how that looks, the kind of stamping it off a little bit so there's a little gap of white. I specifically stamped 2 G's because I wanted to see if I wanted to have an extra letter so that I could check and see if I wanted to, but it would be really hard to layer those. I'd have to layer them exactly perfectly in order for the layered stamp to also work with the dies, and I definitely wanted to use the dies. So I am using my mini die cutter here. This is a Cuddle Kid die cut machine. So it's a very, very old machine, but it was made for kids, but I like using it for just having a quick and easy die cut machine that is lightweight and small. So I'm putting washi tape to hold all those in place, and then I'm going to run it through my die cut machine, and boom, we have really cute letters that spell out part of the word Lego. All I need to do is add the G. So I did skip through the process of running that through again because you just saw me do it. I didn't need that in there twice. And I'm going to position the letters in a playful way here so that they're not perfectly lined up and they're half on the page and half on the photo and half on the background. And, with a bit of a bouncing baseline. And I like that, but you know what, I should have left it alone. I like it the way it was, but I felt like it needed something else. So I added this wonky outlining and I didn't like it. So what I kept doing was just adding more. And that's just not, that's not the thing to do when you don't like something, is add more of it. But I thought it might help. I am not too keen on that design, but let's just power forward anyways. So on the inside, I have 4 more photos to put. And so I'm just going to put them. Some of them say the rest of, they all say day 2. Yeah, so the rest of these are all from day 2. So day 1 is on the front. And I'm placing them kind of wonky. Again, kind of playful, right? It's Lego. It's, supposed to be fun. It is fun. So let's grab some lines. I thought let's maybe put the photos over there and then we'll stamp some lines. I have this, it's another one of the series of noted stamp sets from Ellie's studio. And I don't know which one it is, but it has these lines. And I thought that it would hold my journaling and anchor my journaling in place. So I stamped it there, as you can see. And now I have these lines for journaling. They're imperfect, but once I draw on them, once I put my writing on them, you won't be able to tell that. Here we go. Let's just add more thick lines. Even though I didn't like them on the other side, we'll do this on this side. I often like those thick lines, but I don't here. So we'll just see how this goes. I'm going to do my journaling, which I don't even know what it says because I threw this away. It's not in front of me anymore. But I think it's talking about how Scott and I bought this modular Lego set so that we could have something to do that isn't watching TV in the evenings. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that card. It's fine. We'll put it up there, and it won't be until the next day that I scrapbook this that I realize that I have a better idea. So you'll have to wait till further on. This whole entire session spans 2 different dates in December. So I started it on December 14th and I finished it on December 20th. So in this season, I thought that the photo fit perfectly right under the words. So I put it over to the side like that. And I'm going to put something to fill in the space. We're rewatching Star Trek. And I just really liked that shot. So I grabbed I forget why I grabbed that shot, but I think I was sending it to somebody as a joke about something. And it ended up in my project life. So here we are. I believe we're in the next day now. Yes, we are. It's December 20th. And I have this wrapper from the inside of the Lego box. So some of the Legos came in this paper packaging. A lot of our bags, I think they're packaging more and more in this paper, but our kit had mostly plastic bags. But one of them had this. And I thought that this paper was a fun thing to include. And I thought it might give me an alternative approach to documenting the the Lego set the way that I did. So I cut myself 3 of them because I have 3 surfaces here. And now that I look at it, it doesn't look that bad. It didn't really need to be fixed per se, but yeah, I'm thinking I can actually just pull off the vellum, and even though it ripped the paper in 2 places, these 2 photos can easily cover that. So that's how the outside is going to look. Easy peasy. And then the inside, I'm just going to cover but with this Lego paper. And as you can see, I cut it up in a weird way, and I don't necessarily have a continuation of the pattern of the pattern. See how it kind of stops and starts, and the the pattern doesn't look good like that. So rather than cutting into more of the paper, I've just decided to use the backside of one of those pieces of paper. So I still have the same color of craft paper as what's on the background of the paper that has the Lego sets on it, like the Lego images from the instruction manual. But it doesn't look wonky because it just felt like it was going to look weird like that. So I'm thinking I can get away with only putting 3 photos in here, even though I had originally chosen 4. We'll layer that on top of that, and it covers up those lines that I didn't like. And then we will layer this. And before I do that, because there's going to be a small gap that shows between these two because of the way that you have to layer things when you've got a fold, we've got a crease in your card. I need a white gap there. So I just used some whiteout, some correction tape to cover the marks there so that that white gap doesn't look too distracting. And yeah, then I decided let's just make a hinge out of the craft colored paper so that that gap doesn't look so, I don't know, stark in comparison to the other items on the page. So I just pulled off each one, cut a little strip that will cover that gap and put a crease in it so that it folds nicely. Then I'll just replace each of these exactly as they were. Let's add a magnet, which I almost forgot, so let's do that. These magnets, I can't remember if I mentioned it in this video, but they are 5 millimeters by 2 millimeters. So you need the thin kind. You can also get them 3 millimeters, and I find those just a little bit too thick. I do have those, but I don't love using them. I'll use them if these magnets aren't strong enough. If I have so many layers and things are so thick that I have to use a thicker one. So I do like having the thicker ones on hand, but my go-tos are 5 by 2. 5 millimeter by 2 millimeter thick. So now we can replace these 3 photos. The easiest way to place a series of photos is, especially a series of 3, is to place the first and last one and then center the middle one between them. That way you have even spacing. At least between them, if not on the ends, which is kind of okay if they're not spaced evenly on the ends. So that I like quite a bit better. Now I'm just using this extra piece as a sample to see if my marker is going to be able to, like if it's going to smudge on it, because it's a bit of a weird waxy kind of texture, but my marker worked fine. So I'm using my Sharpie pen for this. I know I just called it a marker, but it's a pen. And it's a felt tip pen. And my journaling here says, Scott and I are building a Lego modular Tudor building as a winter evening hobby. And then there was a bit of extra space there, so I'm gonna underline it, and then I'm just going to add 2 hearts because it's an activity for the 2 of us. So on the top, I feel like I need just a little something. So I'm pulling out my gaming stamp sets. I have board game stamp sets and video game stamp sets, and they're all in with my technology/leisure category of stamps, which includes reading and TV and films and scrapbooking. It's kind of a big category that I think it's time to break it down into smaller categories like reading, technology, board games, that sort of thing. But anyhow, I've got this one called Game Night. I'm pretty sure this is an Ellie Studio stamp set, and then this one is Studio Calico. So I'm going to use the one from Studio Calico, and I'm using a phrase that says an evening of fun. And then I'm going to grab the Let's Play from the other stamp set. So this is an evening of fun. I'm just inking it up, and we'll stamp it right above those photos. Just to fill in, just to put a little something on that otherwise plain craft space. And I'm going to grab Let's Play from this stamp set. And I was thinking about stamping it on craft and then putting some type of a scallop circle or something behind it. Oops, sorry, I forgot to zoom out here, but there we go. Let's play. And I'm going to punch a circle out of that. And then I decided to do it in white, obviously. I'll grab my circle punches. So these are my templates for my circle punches. And it looks like I just want to kind of grab the right size. It's not going to cut off any of the letters. So then I disappear for a second while I go over to my stamp or my punch. Keep my punches on a rack on the wall. So I punched out Let's Play, and then I have all these little suns from Ali Edwards kit, probably from the summer. I never used any of them, so I'm using them sometimes as little tabs or pulls or different things. And in this case, I'm just using it as a pinked circle to go around my Let's Play embellishment. Then we'll just center that on that paper, and I think that that's fun. So this one is coming together, as you can see. Next, I don't know which one I'm going to do next. Yes, I'm going to do I guess I'm going to do the in the news next. No, I'm going to do my birthday one. So my birthday is December 13th, and I've got a number of photos and cards set aside to document that. I'm looking for the number 13, and I'm not even sure that I have a number 13. But it turns out there is a number 13 on this set right here. This set is meant for you to stamp the month, and then there's a gap that you can put a word in, and there's a bunch of words, and it includes 13. So I am going to stamp that just onto a plain piece of paper. I'm going to cut it out, and then I'm going to layer it with the word December. So we'll just place it right there. I'm probably going to glue it down before I staple it, but I'm going to staple it too. So there we go. That's my birthday marker card. That'll go on the front of this flip. Now I have to decide what I'm going to use for the actual tent fold card. Ooh, look at this. It's very Christmassy, like very holiday-ish, because this is in December, and celebratory with those stars. So I really, really like that. When I have a pattern paper like that I love so much, and I'm layering it with vellum, vellum tends to tone it down. And so I love to just cut down the vellum so that we've got a little bit of matting around the outside edges of it so that you can see the vivid coloring of the pattern paper itself. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to put my glue so that it's behind the gold foil of the word December. And then we'll just center it on there, and that's just gorgeous. I love that. Those cards that Ali does for the months are so beautiful. Now, as I mentioned, I did keep this. We actually ordered takeout Montana's. We often go to the restaurant on my birthday. This is a restaurant that we often go to for each other's birthdays. And it is I like ribs from this particular restaurant. So we got order in, like, I think we got Uber Eats or something. And so there was a sticker on the paper bag that the food came in, and I thought it was really cool with the logo of Montana's. So I cut that out. As you can see, it had lots of paper on it. I had to cut it down to make it Project Life worthy. And I am not sure what I'm doing here, but my keyboard's out, so that tells me I'm probably printing up a different size of at least one of these photos. I don't know what I'm doing here. Yes, I'm deciding to replace this because it didn't seem like it was stuck down perfectly. So I'm going to use score tape. That will definitely keep it in place. So we'll do that. And I can't staple that. Oh, it turns out I could. I didn't think I could because there was a magnet there, but I must have figured out a way to be able to staple and not hit the magnet. So yeah, that was something I did while I was just waiting for the photo to print up, the smaller sized photos. I'm going to mat these on this cardstock because it looks like, I guess for whatever reason, when I cut them out, they probably didn't have enough space between the two of them. So I am thinking about using them as a connected pair like that, but I think I'm going to cut them apart by the look of it at some point. So we have this, which is basically a sticker. It's already been stuck to something else. And then we have these two photos. So we'll add some glue to this sticker because it wasn't super sticky and it had paper on the back of it. And I'm liking how that looks, but it looks like it's going to need a magnet. So my thought is that I might put the magnet on in the same way I did with the other one, where the magnet hides under the tab. So I'm putting a little bit of super strong glue there. We'll put the magnet in place. And I'm using my grid mat here to measure whether it's centered or not. It doesn't have to be perfectly centered, but I want it to be at least a little centered. I put my clock there to remind myself to check in on Discord. The timer went off when I was in the middle of doing something, so I just didn't want to forget either thing. So I'm using smaller score tape on the top and bottom of this because I know that I'm not going to be able to staple this like I usually do. I like to staple these tabs just so that they don't come off on your hand. They tend to get a lot more handling than other aspects of a project. So there we go. I punched that with the same paper that I used for the other circle tab. It's that circle tab punch from Stampin' Up. And I already had the circles punched out from the real red paper from the other time that I did the similar thing. Now this is going in the pouch, so it doesn't have to be, like it's going to go inside of the pocket, so it doesn't have to be covered. And there we go. We have a flip. Now I'm grabbing those star stickers and I'm putting one on the back side of the tab, and I think I'm going to also, I put them away, but I'm going to want to also embellish this with more of those stars. I'm writing, and I'm going to use a thicker pen or else I'm just going to go over it a couple of times. I'm writing cappuccino at home. Yeah, I'm just going over it a second time here because it didn't look quite heavy enough for me. So I'm just very carefully going over it again to thicken it up. And then the other one is going to say free Starbucks latte. I probably wouldn't have had a cappuccino at home if I knew I was going out to Starbucks. And then we'll go over that one again too. There we are. Then my journaling here says, on my birthday this year, we went to the mall to pick up some Christmas things and a birthday Starbucks coffee. Then we ordered Montana's ribs via Uber Eats. The kids were busy with exams, so we kept it pretty low key. Yeah, so it was just Scott and I spent the day together. It was quite a nice birthday. Next, I'm going to reach for those stars to embellish this with. So this looks like a set of Ellie Edwards stars, probably from last Christmas or, well, some other Christmas. It wasn't this Christmas anyways. And I'm just putting them in 3 different places here around the page just to guide your eye. And I'm putting them in clusters of either 2 or 3. So there's my birthday card. Now, this one, I just basically put the photo on a green card, and it's a photo of me FaceTiming Sophie, and her roommate is off there in the background in her dorm room. And I'm just going to, I want to label it with a caption. So I just grabbed a pretty simple red label that says Sophie and Sky sang happy birthday to me over FaceTime. And that could have gone inside of the flip, but I decided to put it as its own separate card. So here I'm coming back to the Star Trek card and wanting to put something over on, like some type of a strip or something on the right-hand side of that. And it looks like I have my tech set of cards out. That was a Kelly Perky kit. And now I'm taking out my other technology stamps. I'm thinking about maybe TV related or something like that. And I'm thinking maybe I could put a large word in that space, like a sideways word. And I think I'm looking for the card, and I see where it's at because I've been narrating. It was underneath of the stamps. Just having a look at how any of these might fit, and I'm not loving any of these options. The more I look, the more I think I'm not going to find something that works for this. So I decided to go with washi tape. I had this washi tape. It's Christmas washi tape from Hubman and Chub Girl, and it's perfect there. So I'll put that right there. Now, I think that this might be the last element of this page, and it is a currently in the news triple flip. It's going to take a while for me to do this, so we still have a little bit of time left in this video, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. I have printed up a QR code that I'm going to include here, and then I have two screenshots. One is a headline from The Guardian, and one is a photo of just the generic beginning of Letters from an American, which is a Substack that I read every once in a while. I was reading it more often than I read it now. I also have this set of scannable, what are those, like stickers that I printed? They're digital elements that I printed onto sticker paper that you can use for indicating a QR code to be scanned. But to be honest, I use those less and less these days because it's pretty universal. We all know that the QR code is for scanning. And so I don't know, I guess there might be a time when it's less obvious, but I'm just including the QR codes at this point. I went through my in the news set of digital files that I actually ended up, I printed these up a while ago when I bought them. They're from Syncopation Designs, and there are some good kind of like newsy things in there, but I decided not to go with any of them, I think. Yeah, no, I just am going to use my stamps. I also recently got a news themed stamp set from, I think it's from Ellie's studio? Pretty sure it is. And so I'm going to use that stamp set, and this is the 6x8 card that I chose. This is an old Kelly Perky card. I'm scoring it at the 6-inch mark so that it turns into a 4x6-inch tent fold card. I'm going to use this currently in the news stamp set. I'm just trying to figure out if I might have a punch that might look good with that, but I don't. So I'm just going to cut it down into a rectangle once it's stamped onto white cardstock. So let's just grab the stamp. I'm going to center it on this paper, and we'll just add it to a block. I'm conditioning it with the oils in my hand from my thumb. And that's just because it's a brand new stamp set. I've never used it before. So stamps usually have a bit of a coating on them from the manufacturing process that makes the very first stamp that you do with it be a little bit blotchy. And so conditioning it with your finger, your hand, or an eraser will do as well. Really helps it stamp a nice, clean, crisp image the very first time. And as you can see, that's a pretty great stamp for the first try and without using a stamp positioner. It's not fully Like you can tell that it's a stamp. It's not fully perfectly stamped, but I don't need it to be perfect. I'm fine. This is a handmade project, and I am fine with it being clear that I stamped that. So I'm thinking about how I might want to put this on that. Obviously, it does need something. It's going to kind of lose itself in those bold polka dots. It's just not big enough to hold its own. So I'm going to grab a coordinating piece of cardstock. It looks like this is Mossy Meadow from Stampin' Up. And it picks up on one of the greens that's in the polka dot. And also, it seems like there's lots of other things on the page that are a similar color that I'm pointing out as I go. So we'll just trim that down. And I put my scraps in the same sleeve that holds the paper itself. And I was pretty generous with the matting here, so you really get to see the green. It's not just a thin little sliver of green. That also helps it to stand out on the page. And speaking of helping it to stand out on the page, let's pop it up with some dimensional adhesive. That way it'll cast a nice gray shadow underneath of it and give it even more oomph on the page. So there we go. That's it. That is the cover of this flip. So the inside, in the inside, I'm going to place some cards. And at this point, I don't think I know that it's going to end up being a triple flip. So I have 3 places to tell stories here. I'm just pulling up the video that I just wanted to make sure that the QR code works and that it's going to lead to the same video. It's actually not a news clip, but it's like a commentary, like a Canadian. He's kind of humorous in his news commentary. And he's just, he's a little snarky, but his message is kind of like a good one for Canada. So I'm including that because it was kind of, a year has gone by since the whole tariff debacle that obviously continues to go on. But, it's just kind of good to reflect after so many months have gone by about how, it's not horrible. We're all still here. It's okay. We're going to get through this type of thing. So my first point here is reading The Guardian, CBC, Heather Cox Richardson Substack. And then 2 is spent time reading Trump's national security strategy and thinking about implications for Canada and the world. And 3, thinking and reflecting on how the tariff situation ended up playing out for us, not personally, but overall. And so, of course, personally, we lost our business. Our kit club had to fold because of the tariffs and it's just not if it was our only source of income, we probably would have stuck it out, but it's just a side business for us. So it wasn't worth negotiating all of the ongoing constant changes. And so I think early on we got, or at least I got pretty caught up in the personal ramifications of everything. And now it's kind of interesting to think back more larger scale and see how it's impacting our economy and the world economy and all of that. And so I'm thinking about what I might want to put on the back side of, like, the underside of this. So I cut this down, and this is a piece of patterned paper that I'm thinking I'm going to cover the whole thing. So it's not necessarily, it's got that green color in it. So if you see little bits of it, it's not going to look horrible. But I'm deciding at this point that I need a 3rd flip in here. So this is just my way of adding a 3rd flip. It doesn't really matter what the paper is because it's going to be covered. So I'm putting magnets in. I need to put another magnet in here that will basically, I need 3 magnets now that I have 3 pieces of paper. So they have to line up so that they stick to one another. And that's what I'm doing here. That's why I will glue one down and then stick the other on it and put glue on the extra one and then stick it to wherever it goes so that it's definitely going to be in the right place. Looking at my stamp sets here to see if there's anything else that I want to use, but I think what I'm going to do is put this Heather Oh, pardon me, put this Heather Cox Richardson Substack Letters from an American onto this details from this month. It says places to remember on there, but I'm just going to ignore that. I'm not even going to cover it. I'm just going to ignore it. And so we've got that. I cut it down a little bit so that it's going to fit well on this paper, on this card. And then I'm going to, I thought about matting them all on a piece of craft cardstock. And I am going to do that, but not on this page. So I'm just going through, I'm thinking something green would work well here. So I'm just picked out my green 4x6 cards, and there we go. We're going to go with this one. I just think it fits well with the vibe of this spread. And there happens to be 2 of that in there, so I thought about potentially using the other one too. So I just kept it out in case I need to use it. And so that's going to cover up the second magnet. We'll just adhere those 2 things right there. There we go. Now the bottom will have that currently, and I'm thinking about covering up that swan paper with either the pattern paper or the craft paper. I'm going to go with the craft paper though. So here we have the QR code. I'm going to put the good news stamp there. And then I'm also going to take this watch the video. I know I said I wasn't going to use that because I feel like I don't have to point out the scan thing, but it turns out I am going to do that. Those are, I can't remember which designer those are from, but they're a digital download that I bought when I was buying a bunch of digital stuff. I've been doing a little bit more hybrid scrapping where I pick out things and print them ahead of time and incorporate them into my supplies. I did decide to make that QR code a little bit more substantial so that it holds up to the 2 things that will be going beside it. I'm cutting it again at another size for some reason. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that, but just had to make sure that it was going to work and go to the right video. So there we go. So I'm going to work on this card now. I need to mat that QR code so that it just fits with, and I'm just thinking about what will I mat it with, and I'm going to go with blue. There's plenty of other blue in the page, like on the overall spread. There's blue that shows up because it's winter and lots of the landscape is bluish. And then there's also blue in the card about Annabelle. So I'm going to use that blueberry bushel stamp ink pad from Stampin' Up. And again, I'll condition that with my thumb before I use it. And the phrase there says, here is some good news. And then I will use this sticker. I'm just going to, it's on clear sticker paper, so it just takes a little bit to remove it from its backing. We'll place that right underneath of it. It says watch the video. I'm going to burnish it with my fingernail so that it blends in a little bit better with the background. I don't want to necessarily burnish over the design itself because it was just printed with my inkjet printer, and I'm afraid if I burnish it too much, it might smear. So we'll place that just above the crease. Don't place it in the crease or you'll have trouble closing it. I think I'm going to move it up a little bit. It was a little bit too low. And because of the magnets, they're all, sticking together nicely, which is good. And now we just need the last card to be placed in place. I'm going to do some journaling here. I have some notes to remind me of the points I want to make in my journaling. I'm going to cut out some of this journaling because it's this video is long enough as it is. Let's place this below the crease. And again, if you place it in the crease, it will not fold properly. You can see that pattern sticking out from behind, and I don't think that looks terribly bad because it almost looks like it's so similar to the pattern on the page before it that it looks a little bit like a continuation of that. So that's fine. Now I have to decide if I'm going to add any embellishments, and I don't think I am, but what I do want to do is add some tabs. I'm deciding to go with the round Stampin' Up! Tab punch, and I'm grabbing some craft paper, which you'll see there it is. And I wanted to use the exact same craft that I had already used elsewhere on the page. And I'm going to do the exact same strategy, which it turns out it looks like I discovered this strategy in this Scrappy session. And this is going to be a go-to method for me for tabs, where I use that circle tab and then I use this punch to put color cardstock circles on it. And then I stamp on those cardstock circles. So we're going to do that, and I'm just stamping Open Me, and I'm doing some tone-on-tone stamping. So I'm using the same color of ink. I think it's like mossy something, mossy meadow maybe, and I'm using the same color ink as the cardstock itself. And the stamp just says Open Me. I'm going to place these on the bottom in the right-hand corner. And I'm going to place them side by side so that you'll see that there's two different tabs there. Placing them on the corner there means that I'm definitely not going to encounter the magnet when I'm stapling them, which is important. Then we'll place the other one so that it lines up right beside the first one. Sometimes I overlap them, and sometimes I place them like this side by side so you can see all of both of them. So I just wanted them to be placed exactly perfectly so that they're lined up with each other. And my first plan was to make them both be green. But I'm going to decide, because I do introduce blue on this second one, I'm just making sure the magnets are working right and are in place. I'm going to use some blue. So I have Blue Bushel Stampin' Up! Cardstock, and I'm going to also grab the Blue Bushel ink and stamp Open Me. I will use my punch to punch out. Whoops, I put it a little bit too far in. Punch out one and then one that's blank. So I'm punching out the Open Me, and I'm also punching out the blank one. Stapling that in place so it doesn't move around. I'll add Open Me, and then I'll add the blue plain one on the back side. As I did in the other occasions when I used this punch, I'm putting stars on the back sides of those tabs. And now we have a triple flip. Now you will notice, and it could be in the photos, I changed this later. I think the photos are going to not reflect this change, but those tabs that hang out at the bottom cannot stay there. I have to move both of those cards to the top of the spread, because once the book stands on a shelf, those will get crushed because they hang out of the bottom of the pages. And so yes, if my photos at the end don't reflect that, then just know that I did have to move those to the top. When you see my flip through, it will include how the page looks with them moved. So before we jump into the final photos, I want to give a quick shout out to my amazing Patreon supporters. These tiaras help make this channel happen, and I'm so grateful for each and every one of them. They get early ad-free access to all of my process videos, plus real-time unedited versions, often in the form of live streams, and they get some exclusive behind-the-scenes content of working through storing things, trying out new techniques, other hobbies, and that sort of thing. We also have a thriving and super supportive, cozy community over on Discord. That is a fun thing to be involved in as well. I'm so grateful for them. So anyhow, if you'd like to join us, you can hop on over to Patreon/MercyTiara. But here are the still shots of this page. Thanks so much for joining me. I know that this has been a long one, but I know that that some of you like the long ones, so this one is for you if you're one of those people. And if you're listening still, you probably are one of those people. So thanks so much for coming along on this journey with me. I have one more, maybe two more process videos of this series of my 2025 project life. And then there will be a flip through that shows the whole project all put together and a few of the changes I made at the very last minute on it as well. So another page and a half are coming your way. Not sure if they'll be in two separate videos or all in one, but you'll see it soon. Take care and have a really great scrappy week.